Today on the Railway Room, I'm building a 009 brake van from Inoxion Models. Hello friends and welcome back to the Railway Room. So yes, today I'm going to be building an Inoxion Models kit for a brake van in 009. This is based on the designs that Pickering made for the Campbeltown and Machrihanish Railway. This is a series of designs that they made for various wagons and the brake van, but sadly none of them were actually built. I believe in the end they couldn't justify the cost. I'm sure somebody will correct me if I'm wrong on that one. But the designs were published later in books about the railways, and it's those designs that Inoxion have used to produce these series of kits. There's a few wagons that they've got available, and the one I'm working on today, which is the brake van. And so it comes up like this when you order it. It's pretty similar to the Inoxion slate wagons that I made the other week, coming on this flat base plate. And if you look at the front, it's quite nice there. It tells you the catalogue number and a description of it. So if you order a few, you know exactly what's what. It's quite nice. If you eventually build these and put them into stock boxes, you could potentially use that as a label. Anyway, it's nicely presented. And the kit comes in 4 major parts. So if we look, you can see you've got the roof on there. There's the floor, the main brake van body, and then the chassis underframe. And if we look inside the body, if we can see in there, there is a brake wheel, a couple of benches, and what I believe is difficult to tell from this angle, but I think is some NEM pockets in there as well. So this kit I think has a lot of potential for people who, like me, are modelling a freelance railway, who are wanting something that looks very realistic and prototypical, but is not necessarily tied to a specific railway, because as pleasing as it is to have a nice scale model of a Talyllyn or Festiniog grate with appropriate loco, if it's on a railway that isn't a Talyllyn or the Festiniog, it kind of looks a little bit out of place maybe. Still provides a lot of pleasure, and it's something that I'm working on anyway. But to have something like this that is based on a genuine period design, but was never actually produced, it means that it can fit into any freelance layout. So I think there's definitely plenty of opportunity for these to find homes on a lot of layouts. And looking at it like this as it arrives, I think it's looking pretty good so far. I think there's potential for this to be made into a very nice piece of rolling stock. So the first thing that I'm going to try and do is get it off all of these support pieces and the base. Now there are obviously a lot of them in there, so it's going to be a bit of a tricky job, but I think with things like this the trick is to not rush it, to take it nice and slowly, work one bit at a time, and use a soaring motion rather than applying direct pressure, because it would be very easy to damage the actual model as well. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. I'm just going to gently try and take all of the supports out, and then we can have a look at all the pieces that we've got. There we go. So finally got the chassis off. I think that's if you're making one of these, I would say that's going to be the easiest bit to get off first, because it is a pretty chunky piece. So you're not going to have to worry too much about damaging it compared to some of the other pieces. Obviously, there's a lot of bits on the main body. It's quite alarming as it does start to come away, because you can feel these supports in your fingers, and they're moving, and it's like, oh, I've broken it, but no, they are the bits that are supposed to come out. There we go, I've got the roof off, and you can see all the locating lugs and clips on there. That's quite good. So a bit of effort there, but I've managed to get the main body off. And as you can see, there's slight remnants of some of the supports there, so I'll have to clean those off. And now if we could look inside, these are just supports. Those are just supports. But we can now see these 4 pockets, brake column and 2 seats. So now we can probably get these things from the inside out. So there we go, there's the brake wheel, and we need to be careful taking it off because there is a locating lug on the bottom of that. So it's the first of the seats, and you can see it's got a little padlock on it, so it's presumably doubles as a seat and some kind of a toolbox. And the second seat, you can hopefully see that is NEM pocket there. There we go, and the floor. So there's no instructions that come with this as to how it goes together, but it is pretty self-explanatory. So the underframe just sits inside there, and then we've got holes locating lugs, so your brake wheel and your 2 seats. Whoop. And then the NEM pockets, and there's a lug there, and there's a little indent in the bottom here, so you can just swap that into place just like that. But it also gives the option, if you want to use a non-NEM coupling, you just leave that piece out and you've got a nice spot there as well. And that should just then snap into position under there. And there's your roof. And because of these, that should just clip into place. I don't want to clip it in just yet because I want to paint it first. So before I go any further, the next thing I need to do is just find where all the supports were under here and just check and file those nicely down to clean up the remnants of any supports. And I need to be very gentle with this because particularly these thin pieces here, they could be very brittle, very easy to damage those. Okay, so once I've gone through and cleaned up all the support remnants, I'll then take it outside and give it a quick spray in the old primer. Cool, so I've got these back from priming now, and you can really see better the detail on them, all the extra detail along underneath the footboard on there, and on the chassis, all the brake detail and the springs, and on the main body. You see we've got the little lamp holders here, we've got all the handrails and all the extra fittings, the door handles in there, and full planking and everything, all on the inside. So I think you'll agree that's a very nicely detailed kit. I'm very pleased with it, I must say. Now, one thing that you might be able to see is it's quite a common issue, I think, with flat 3D printed things, and it's, you can perhaps even see on the base plate, there's a slight curve on it, a bowing, from where it's cooled. It's quite common with the 3D prints. You can see there's a slight curve on that, and there's a slight curve on the floor as well. But the thing is, because this was printed that way up, the slight curve on that and the slight curve on that are in the opposite directions. So you've got the little locating lugs on the bottom. Once those are glued together, they're going to be able to cancel each other out as long as you glue right at the ends, just to get that nice and straight. That's going to add a lot of stability to it, and that'll make it really good. And then once you get the body on that as well, the stability of the base, the chassis, is going to make sure that the body stays nice and straight, because even just looking at this now, you can see, because these bits are quite fragile, there is a certain amount of movement in that. If you're not careful, that could get very uneven. But the way this base is designed, that should help to prevent that. So I think what I'll do next is I will glue the chassis together. I'm just going to use a little super glue on this, and as I said, I'm going to make sure I've got some nicely down on the ends and all up in the middle. And nice and simple, and then I'll just hold that straight whilst the glue sets. Okay, so once that's nice and dry and hopefully straight, and so again you've got the locating lugs to show you exactly where they're going to go, and we've got the little clasp on the front and there's hinges on the back, so just to make sure we get those the correct way around, and a little proper glue, and get it the correct way around. And exactly the same with the second one. The proper glue. And then you've got the brake wheel. And again, this is a nice little locating look, so you know exactly where it's going to go. A little bit of glue. And just make sure it's nice and vertical. Of course, had I been thinking in advance, I'd have printed this chassis piece, primed it in black, because then I could have just left it in black, because now I'm just going to have to paint it over in black anyway. But never mind, it's not too much effort. So I'm just going to get me black, and I'm going to quickly paint over all the underneath parts of the chassis. On the bottom piece, I'm only really painting the brake gear and the axle boxes anyway, so that's the only bits that you're going to be able to see once you've got the wheels in and got it on track. Now on the underlength of the frame, so I've got the underframe length here, and then the footboard. I think I'm going to have the footboard in brown, and then this section in black. The brown that I'm using here, there's this Vallejo chocolate brown. It's a new paint that I've just bought. I thought I'd try it out, see how it comes out. So I'm just going to go along the footboard with that. And I will go across the floor as well with it. I think for the main body I'm going to stick with the grey, but what I'll do is I'll give it a quick swoosh over with a slightly different colour as well. So I'm just going to give it a quick, little more than a wash really. Just trying to be very careful of all the extra detailing parts. All these handrails I want to attempt to pick out in black, so just a very small bit of whilst I've got my black, I'm going to paint this brake lever into black too. Get these clasps as well. And I'll just get the grey and just try and tidy up any overspill from this black. For the roof, pretty much I'm going to just do a basic black wash. And so I'm just going to paint across the bottom of here. I will now try and run a quick black wash over the sides of the van. Okay, so that's a suitably weather-beaten body. I'm pretty pleased with that on the whole. For the 4 windows, I've just measured the size of them and then cut to size 4 pieces of clear plastic, and then I'm just going to pop a little bit of glue top and bottom. And then hopefully if I've measured it right, it should just slot into position. Something like that. And so then I just need to do that for all 4 of the windows. So we've just got these little NEM pockets. So I'm just going to put a little bit of glue and here and on this side. I think I really want to get this in before messing about with the wheels. So yeah, that just goes in nicely. And then once the glue's dry, I'll quickly paint over the side of those in black just to mix them in a bit. So now while I'm just waiting for this to dry, the thought occurs, we've got this nice interior detail there, but once you put the body and the roof on, you're not really going to be able to see it because you've only got these little tiny windows here. It almost makes me wonder if it might have been better if they'd made the door as a separately fitted piece, so you could have put the door in slightly ajar. That might have helped you to be able to see a bit better. But what I'm going to try out for the first time in this is one of these. So I got this one from Layouts for You, but you can get them from Tramfabrique and other places. So it's a magnetically operated LED, and it's got what I'm assuming is a latching reed switch in there. So you just get this, it operates on a CR9273 3-volt battery. You just slide that in, make sure you've got it the right way in, and then when you pass a magnet over it, hopefully, that turns it on and off. So these ones, for layout for you, comes with these little sticky stickers so that you can just then stick it into position inside your coaches. So I'm going to put this one in the middle of the brake van, so I'll just put the sticky patch down, hopefully. And then I'll stick the light, hopefully get it roughly central. Okay, so I have now got a bit of a black wash across the balcony ends, so I think I'm pretty much ready to start putting this together. I don't think it makes a lot of difference which way around it goes. It should just clip into place. So yeah, it just goes on just like that. And so now I've just got the super glue in and glued that into position on there. I can see there's a couple of extra bits of paintwork that I want to touch up before I go any further with that, but generally I'm pretty pleased with that. The couplings, I've got some Greenwich couplings that I've just popped in there. But obviously you've got the flexibility, you don't have to use the NEM pockets, you can use pretty much whatever couplings you prefer to use. So the kit does not include couplings or wheels, this one, but the website does have a list of potential suitable wheels from Pico and Graham Farish that you could use. The ones I'm choosing to use are these from Matheson, 15mm spoked wagon wheels. These are really good value actually. They are quite popular, I think. They are metal wheels, so they should help the running quality nicely. And hopefully these will just slip into position. I did test them earlier. With a little bit of a click. And it's in. And it's in, and that sits in, and they're nice and firm, they are, so that's very positive. So I'll just quickly touch up the extra little bits of the paintwork, and then I'll see about the roof. So the last thing that remains then is to put the lid on the roof. I think I'm not going to glue this into position. I'm hoping that with the clips they're going to be able to clip in, and then it's going to be removable. So if I need to get the battery and the light, I haven't tried this yet, so let's see how well it clips. This is a little bit nerve-wracking, particularly these end pieces. I don't want to break them. Now, to be honest, I am really struggling to get this to clip into position, to the point where I think I might have to go in and cut some of these supports out, because I think they're getting in the way. Okay, so what I've left is just the ones on the end. So let's see how that gets on. And there we go. Yeah, that's much more like it. I think those other pieces were possibly supports left from the printing supports, the ends of them, rather than actual locating pieces. And so there we have it, pretty much ready to go. I could probably do with trying to find a guard figure to stick on one of the verandas at the end. I was going to use this double workman, but it turns out he's just a bit too tall to fit in, particularly because the underside of the roof there is flat. It doesn't follow the curve of the roof, so there's no extra headroom in there. So I'll have to see if I can find a slightly shorter figure that I can put in there. Otherwise, it would be good to get it down onto the layout and see what it looks like in situ. Okay, so there we have it in freight train formation. Now, one thing that I am noticing at this point is that you can see a bit of a glow from the light coming through the side of the body. Now that comes up quite a lot on the camera, but you can't really see it very much with the naked eye. But it does make me wonder if maybe I need an extra coat of paint across that just to hide it off a bit. So let's just watch the train depart. We can also see here that even with the thickness of the plastic in the roof, turning the light on and off is pretty easy and straightforward. So that's very good. And something else we might notice is the design of the brake van is very reminiscent of the brake vans designed by Pickering for the Welsh and Llanfair Railway, which is inevitable because they are sister designs from the same company. And here on the left I've got a work in progress build of the 9 lines model of the Welsh and Llanfair brake van next to the Inoxion Campbeltown one, and you can see apart from the veranda on both ends, they are pretty similar in size, and they certainly complement each other quite nicely, I think. The Welsh Pool one is slightly larger, which does befit it being a 2'6" prototype, whereas the Campbeltown one's 2'3". If we look at them next to each other from above, you can see they're almost exactly the same length and almost exactly the same width as well. The Inoxion Campbeltown one is very slightly shorter. I do wonder if perhaps I've slightly overdone the weathering on this, because I am modelling a preserved line. They're probably not going to get their vans quite that mucky, but at the same time it could be one that's been weathered up a little bit extra for a photo charter or something like that. So I may give it another wash over with a grey or something just to lighten the effects of the weathering, or I might just leave it as it is, because I do really quite like the look of that, to be honest. All that remains to try and find a suitable guard for it, and probably get some lamps to put on the lamp hooks there as well. So there we have it then, that's my video of the build of this, the Inoxion Models Campbeltown and Machrihanish style Pickering brake van. It's a lovely kit, there's plenty of detail. It's a little bit challenging getting it off the supports, but other than that, really enjoyable to build, and very good value as well. It was about £10. They do discounts as well sometimes. Obviously you've got the wheels and the couplings and paint and time to add on top of that, but I do think it's really good value. Very nice looking kit, and I'm sure will bring a lot of people a lot of pleasure. It certainly has done to me. So that's it for this time. I hope you've enjoyed watching and found the video interesting and or useful. If so, please, you know, the usual comment, like, subscribe and all of that jazz. So looking forward, there are going to be layout build update videos coming. They are slightly delayed because there was a couple of setbacks, but they are being worked on. And I've also got quite a few new kits, so there'll be videos of builds of some of those as well, and obviously there'll be plenty of videos of narrow gauge and other steam interest videos to mix in with all the modelling as well. So if you haven't subscribed, you know, feel free to do so. If you don't want to, then that's fine as well. There's no pressure, no judgment. We're all friends here. So thank you very much again for watching, and see you again next time. Thank you.